All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and unfortunately, there's a problem with the garage. I haven't shared this with you guys yet, but it's time to go ahead and address it. So this is what the garage looks like. This is kind of the side that you guys don't really see in the videos, but we've got a bunch of oil that has to go back to FCP Euro. Old parts I've removed, new parts I still need to install. We've got lawn equipment, wheels, and tires, and it's just trying to get this whole mess under control. So in this video, we're going to be turning this much better. Now we've got way more room, and I've got somewhere at least to work a little bit, getting in the process of cleaning things up, but this is the main piece that's getting me together. This was sent to me by FlexiMount. This is their GL1 lifting system, and I just wanted to show you guys how this works, as well as show you how to install it in your garage in case you're looking at trying to get some more organization in place, because this thing is really awesome and exactly what I've been looking for. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. This video is sponsored by FlexiMounts, and for those that don't know, FlexiMounts is a US company dedicated to providing effortless storage and organizing solutions for your garage and your home. Their products are highly rated on Amazon, with their classic garage racks being bestsellers, trusted by many for their quality and innovation. Now, in my case, I opted for the GL1 lift system. And the reason is because this completely eliminates the need to climb up a ladder and load things up over your head. The GL1 lift system has a cable-driven axle that will lower and raise a platform so you can easily store stuff on top of it. It can hold 300 pounds, and it has a lot of safety features, including its double cables and extra security on the actual lift system. So here's the thing. I mean, there are a lot of solutions that help get stuff up in your garage, but this one is completely different, specifically because it has this axle system with the cable and pulley attached to it. So the way that it works is when you connect this handle to that axle, you actually turn it and it slowly pulls this entire thing up in the air. So that's how I was able to get these tires up. I didn't have to use a ladder or anything. It dropped it all the way down to my level so I could load it up, crank it, and it slowly worked its way back up to the ceiling. So this thing is, like I said, exactly what I've been looking for, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to install it. Again, this is the model GL1. This is the storage lift system, so if you want the one where you can actually crank it up like I showed you, this is the one that you want to get. There are a lot of products that FlexiMount sells that have higher weight ratings and different amounts of storage and stuff. So depending on what you need, pick what you need. But this is the one that I recommend if you want the ease of use and capability that I just showed. All right, and here it all is. So basically, the system is pretty straightforward, right? We've got brackets that go at the front, and these have the pulleys on it. So these wheels roll, and that's what the cables will ride on. Then you've got the actual axle. So this is what mounts at the back, and this is what will actually roll up the cables and then lower it. And then these are all the cables that are already attached to it. This is the hand crank that you'll use to raise and lower it. Then we've got a bunch of hardware and stuff over there as well. And yeah, it should be pretty straightforward to get this all in. So let's go ahead and pull out the template first, and that will set us up to actually mock up the mounting. There you go, installation template. Now we're getting ready to mark all of our holes and bracket locations so that we can get this installation going. But the key thing here to remember is that the axle and the pulley system need to be mounted 48 inches apart. So that means that the joists going through your ceiling need to be either 12, 16 or 24 inches apart. Now mine are 24 inches, but if you want to do any homework to make sure that this works, that's something that you'll want to check. Pretty much all homes, at least that have been in my experience, meet that requirement, but you can double check just to make sure you don't have any weird spacing. So now that I know that my joists are 24 inches apart, I'm basically going to mark one as close to the wall as I can. It's usually right here. And then I'm going to find another one, and then the second joist that's 48 inches apart, I'm going to mark that over there. I'm just going to be using some masking tape and basically setting that up for where you want your lift system to end. Will let you set it up so that the rest of the template just kind of falls into place. So I'm going to mark those 2 points, and then we'll grab the template and tape it up to the ceiling. Now, as you can probably tell, the installation template is very big. This is only halfway folded out. You still have 2 additional legs that fold out on each side. So the key thing to remember when you're placing this is that these holes are for the pulleys and these holes are for the axles. So you want these holes to be placed against the wall or wherever you want the hand crank to be. And then typically you want these pulleys to be on the outside so that it can actually lift up the system. So just make sure you're placing it the proper way so that you have the right holes for the appropriate brackets to mount them on the ceiling. So here is the installation template in place, and I turned off the camera because it took me a little while to figure out the trick here, but I think I've got it. So first thing I recommend is using really sticky tape. I use duct tape just because my ceiling's really dusty and stuff. It has cobwebs on it. So regular tape doesn't stick very well. So get some really sticky tape. That'll help it hold up a lot easier. The other thing is to put the tape on the cardboard first, then lift it up to the wall and then press the tape against the ceiling. Because when you're trying to apply the tape while you're lifting it up, it's going to start peeling on each corner, and it's just really difficult to get everything kind of seated and held securely. And then you can see once I got it on there, I doubled up on some corners and stuff like that. And now it's staying beautifully. So I got this all sorted now. I double checked each corner with my stud finder to make sure it's still lined up with cross beams in the ceiling. And now we're ready to get the brackets mounted. So this part is pretty straightforward. All we're going to do is put the bracket in the cutout and then line up the holes so we can see where we need to drill. So on this side, you can see it lines up perfectly with the axle bracket. You're gonna line it up even with the notch, and it should line up perfectly. Make sure this notch is pointed towards the inside of where your lift system is going to be mounted, and then you can mark those holes and put a punch in each side. On the other side, you've got kind of that plus sign that is going to be for your pulley brackets. So make sure you're mounting the correct bracket in the hole that matches its shape. Same thing, mark the holes, and then we'll be able to drill and get ready to bolt these down. All right, so now we are going to drill our pilot holes. The manual says to use a 0.2 inch drill bit or a 5mm drill bit. I don't have metric units, so I'm going to use a 3/16 since that's the closest size. And it also says drill it 2.4 inches deep. On my drill bit, that's basically the entire cutting length, so I'm just gonna bottom this out. Now, if you've got a finished ceiling like I do with drywall, the key here is you should see sawdust come out. So you're gonna go through the drywall, and then you should start seeing some wood chips. If you don't, then you missed your ceiling joist. So make sure you see that wood. If not, go back with your stud finder, do it again. Make sure you find a point so that you have a nice secure location that'll be able to hold the weight of the lift system. And there we go, pretty straightforward. Again, make sure you see those wood chips when you're pulling it out so that you know you're getting it into an actual joist. You'll also feel like some extra resistance when you're going in there, so you know that you've got one of the cross beams. I don't think you really need to keep the installation template here, but I'm going to do it just in case if I do need to adjust something. If I missed one of the studs, then I can shift it all and make sure everything's lined up properly. So now we're ready to go ahead and mount up our bracket. What we're going to do is use these screws in the bag labeled with the letter G. It's got screws and washers in it. And what you're going to do is grab your drill, swap it out with a 1/2-inch hex bit, and then you put in the bolt, the washer, line up the bracket, and then run them all in. Do all 3 loose at first just to make sure everything lines up, and then once you've got it all in place, then tighten all the screws down. So let's go ahead and get this on. So now we are ready to install the axle into these 2 brackets. The only thing to remember is that this gear on the left side, this is the safety and the main mechanism for actually cranking this up. So you need this to be on the left side in order for everything to work properly. So we're going to get this up here, just slide it into this bracket. Then on this side, we slide it over into this bracket, just like that. And then we'll take all this plastic off of the wires and cables as well. Also, there are screws to secure in each of these holes. So you're gonna put the A screws into the actual bracket. That'll lock the bracket in place so it doesn't move. And then there are holes right here. And you're gonna put the B screws and the B nuts inside of these holes, and that'll prevent it from wanting to slide at all. Now the kit comes with Allen keys, but I'm just gonna use mine since they're a little bit longer. These are 5mm Allens. So go ahead and run it through these holes. There should be 2 on each side. And then through this hole, we're going to put the B screw as well as the B nut. So the B screw is 5mm. The nut is a 1/2 inch. And it's also a locking screw, so you might need a little bit of extra force. I'm using a ratcheting box wrench on this side to get it all the way cranked down. And then once you've got all of this locked down, make sure all the cables are loose and kind of draped down, and you're gonna take the longer pair from each side and run it through the pulley on that side. So just slide it through and then pull it down like so, and it should just dangle right there. Again, make sure it's not wound up or anything. Try to keep it as straight as possible. Now next we're going to set up the base. And so we've got to unfold it here. And there are like a lot of wires, but basically what they say is the side with more wires, so like this one has wire on the top but not on the bottom. If it has more wires, then that's the side that should be on top. So we're gonna lay it down like this, and then we're going to mount it up with these hooks and nuts onto these brackets. And it basically lines up. There's one bracket on this side, one bracket on that side. So we'll grab one. I don't think it has a direction, but I'm gonna mount it this way so that I'm not actually seeing the labels once it's installed. So I think it might be easier if I just put these hooks through first and just hand tighten this nut. I'll do that for each of the holes. And now that the hooks are on here, I can just hook it onto here. And now we're finally ready to mount the platform onto the cables. Now the way this works is you're going to go into the bag that's labeled with the letter D, and it's got these washers and nuts. And so what you're going to do is put on the washer first and then 2 nuts back to back, and that'll make sure that you securely hold it onto these little eyes right here. So let's go ahead and do each corner one at a time. So this goes through the hole, and then it goes washer, let's see, washer, and then locking nut, I think that can just at least hold it up for now. I'm going to go get all 4 corners on, make sure everything's lined up right, and then we'll tighten it down and add the second nut for security. All right, so this is kind of how it's mocked up. I got to adjust all these cables, make sure nothing's binding or anything, but get everything on and then tighten it all down. And now the moment of truth. I'm gonna put my tires on here that I'm not currently using, so that way I can get them off the floor and just get them out of the way. So let's see how it does. Typically tires are about 25 pounds each. So if I put 8 tires on here, it should be around 200 pounds, which is well within the 300-pound limit. Now the last part, of course, is to use the hand crank and actually start cranking this up. But what you actually have to do is up here, we've got a safety latch. And so what you're going to do is use the hand crank and move that safety latch out of the way. Push it through here. Pull. And then you can put the hand crank on here. Let's do it this way. There we go. And then you turn it clockwise to raise it up and counterclockwise to lower it. And it's very slow, so just take your time and you'll work your way up. You can put like a drill on here and crank it, but I just want to do it slow the first time just to make sure everything's smooth and good and I'm not going to have any issues. I think that's almost maxed out. It's not quite touching the tire yet, but I'm not really getting any extra space by doing it. Now, unfortunately, I somehow turned off my microphone by mistake, so we'll do a voiceover, but look at this. Finally, I got exactly what I was looking for. Now, there's so much more room for activities, so I can kind of reorganize things down here. But keep in mind, there's one last thing you need to do once you're done lifting up your equipment. At the very top, we want to put that safety latch back in place. So make sure you twist the hook and align the hole so that the safety latch can go back in straight. And then once you do that, you're going to move the hook over to the latch and then pull it down to slide it back into the hole. So that will make sure that it can't twist or turn by mistake. And then once you're done with that, you'll just kind of put the handle on one of the cables and let it hang there until you need to access it again. So this is the whole thing, guys. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, I think most people struggle the most with the template, so just take your time there. But otherwise, everything else is just pretty much plug and play, drill and screw and then secure everything up in your ceiling. So hopefully this helps you guys out. I will have my Amazon link to this product in the description of this video. And other than that, I think that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.